$7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp, $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico.
Dub is a shit fuck, you know, cringe tour, etc., etc.
Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
Here's the polls, Jack. You guys are all the same.
I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ, the really, I hate to say this, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
The world is actually a small piece of the universe, right?
That will enhance our underlying effort to accommodate the Russian oligarchs and make sure we take their ill-begotten gains. We're going to accommodate them. We're going to seize their yachts. We're going to seize their yachts. We're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. But these are bad guys. But these are bad guys.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Can you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
Hello, users, and welcome to another episodic installation of the Above It All live show program. It is a program. It's a program of the May variety, and we're doing a show. So I'm here. I'm alive. It's a little dark in my room because the curtains are closed. I decided, you know what? I'm gonna stream in darkness today. That's what I decided. I made this decision. I made a fucking decision. And now we're living with the consequences. Let me say hello to the chat. We got Smia, we got Pike, we got Ali CIA, we got Tyler, we got Bob, we got Johnny Too Late, and more. If I continue scrolling up, potentially, but I'm not going to. We got Juan Ortiz. I'm here for Above It All content. Max, Being Max, and Queen Andrea teasing feet to us. I'm wearing socks today, motherfucker. So, don't know about that one, unfortunately. But either way, we've got a show, and by we, of course, I mean me. I've got a show, and I'm doing the show. Today, I'm doing the show, and I was thinking, we got Glam Girl Adel. I was thinking maybe I would do today's show tomorrow, but that wouldn't make any sense, right? Because tomorrow's show would be tomorrow, so then what would I do? Today's show and tomorrow's show tomorrow? And then when I was thinking, like, well, then tomorrow, when I do tomorrow's show, it'll be yesterday's show. But then when I do tomorrow's show, it will be today's show. And then today's show will be yesterday's show. So tomorrow's show would be yesterday's show and today's show. But not today's show, but not yesterday's show, because I already did yesterday's show. And then I decided, you know what, this is a little too much for me. I'm just going to do today's show today. So here we are. This is today's program for an episodic installation. And we got, and we're doing a show. So anyway, yesterday was a fun program. I don't even know if I need to recap it. If you watched it, you watched it. If you didn't, you missed out. And that's pretty much it. I don't know what else to tell you. There will not be a repeat today. Today's my skip day. Taking a day off of the experiment. And we'll resume tomorrow. Tolerance or whatever. I'm still not scientifically certain about the efficacy of how tolerance functions. But either way, that's the show. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm hungry as hell. So, and I hope you are too, because in 79 minutes from now, there's going to be another episodic installation of Cooking with the Bitch. That's right, folks. Episode 26 of the Cooking with the Bitch program. And you're going to love it. I really don't know what else to tell you. 79 minutes from now, there's going to be some cooking content. I hope you're content with the level of cooking content that's going to be contending for your... anyway, so Cooking with the Bitch, episode 26, coming up today. Should be fun. But anyway, so yesterday I did a stream. I did a program, if you will. And a show. And after the show, I went to the grocery store while I was still hopped up. I was all hip-hopping and hop-hipping around town in public. I went to the grocery store. And it was very fun. I don't know what else to say. I mean, there's no point to the story. I'm just blogging. It was very fun. It was enjoyable. And, it's just crazy shit, to just be outside in the world. And, right, like those are other people that are also in the world. And I have to share this planet with them. It's crazy stuff. Anyway, so I was at the grocery store yesterday. Take a long walk. Grocery store is not too close. I don't know how close it is to where I'm at. Like, I don't know. I want to say like it's a mile to get there. I want to say. Maybe I'll look. Should I look this? Well, I don't want to look. I don't want to be like, oh, this is exactly this amount of feet. Then people are going to fucking find out where I live. But anyway, we got a show today. Today's program is brought to you by me. It's brought to you by me and no one else because this is my show. Actually, I lied. Where the hell is that Max dog? Max! It's brought to you by Max the dog. Hi. Look at this dog. Hello. It's brought to you by Max the dog, who is a dog. Maxie, uppy! Uppy! Wah! No uppy? Alright. Maxie, uppy! Uppy, uppy, uppy! Uppy, uppy, uppy! Oh, it's not happening. But this is a dog, and I love this dog. So, without this dog, the show would not be happening. I don't know what else to tell you. Even if he doesn't come uppy when I tell him to, he's still a good boy. So, I gotta start doing like, would anyone give me a super chat if I gave Max a treat? Like, is that okay? Is that, like, I feel like that should be against the law or something. But, like, imagine, like, every $5 that I get, I will give Max a super chat. Or give Max a treat. Am I allowed to do that? Like, is that against a service? I don't know. But if anyone wants to give me $5, I will throw Max a bone in the form of a biscuit. New way to fundraise from people. And there you go. So we got a show. We're about 10 minutes into the show, something like that, and no news has been covered today. So I got a double dip here. Two of my favorite subjects to talk about. But we're going to start with this one. So, this is from the New York Times. Now, I know it's normalized in our culture. Like, people feel peer pressured to be pro-genocide. It's a little strange. But in the New York Times, we have this really weird headline. At Head Start, masks remain on despite CDC guidelines. Now, this is one fuck mother of a headline. Like, this is like the fucking, 1984 shit, right? Like, wow. Okay, so there's so much information captured here. So part one of this is that the CDC recommends against masking. Isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention official guidelines state to do nothing to prevent control or spread of the virus at all. You do nothing. That's the official Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Official guidelines state do absolutely nothing at all to prevent transmission. And so a school is saying, actually, we're not, we believe in the science. You're a corrupt organization. So fuck you. And now the New York Times is writing articles like this. This is in New Jersey. The Biden administration has taken credit for a relative return to normalcy in schools over the last year of the coronavirus pandemic. 82% of people in this country under the age of 18 have had at least one COVID infection. We know that about 30% of people infected with COVID develop some long-term debilitating symptoms, known as long COVID, right? It's an unidentified, cluster of potential symptoms. 80%. Biden's like, oh yeah, 80% of kids got a virus? Hell yeah. Woo! But in one of the few education programs the federal government directly oversees, Head Start preschools and child care centers for low-income families, mandatory masking rules are still on the books for teachers and children as young as 2 years old. That requirement is out of line with current guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released last month, which recommended universal masking only if there is high community transmission rate, which there is in 100% of the country. Now keep in mind, not just a month ago, right, but I think it was March or April of this year, they redefined what a high community transmission rate was, right? They just redefined it. Like, so because all the counties in the country were at like high risk or extremely high risk, they're like, let's just boost the numbers a little bit. So all the counties in the country overnight went from red zones to green zones. And now, even with the boosted inflated metrics, most counties in the country are in red zones again. Why is that? Because the CDC is a pro-genocide organization. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, they're not in the job of controlling or preventing disease. They don't care at all. In fact, it is the exact opposite that is true. The CDC weaponizes its credibility among people that don't know any better to facilitate the transmission of disease, to make sure as many people as possible get infected with the disease. I don't know, man. A lot of people love to use the term 1984, but I don't know. Hey, just food for thought. Anyway, the strict Head Start guidelines were established last November during the surge of Delta variant infections, and they remain in place in half the states, including those throughout the Northeast and on the West Coast. In addition to universal masking, they require the Head Start staff members be vaccinated. A group of conservative states, including Texas and Florida, sued to prevent the rules from taking effect, and the federal court imposed an injunction on the guidelines in those states. Think about that. Think about this. Think about it. Republican lawmakers are suing the federal government or the federal government's like program to make sure more people get sick and die. That's Republicans. They are going to use their power to ensure more people get sick and die. It's insane. Now, the masking and vaccine requirements are a point of contention for local Head Start centers, complicating both enrollment and hiring. A program director said many parents don't want their young children to be masked, worried that masking could hinder socialization and language development. And their older children are now able to attend schools without any face coverings. You know, again, we live in this Twilight Zone world. Like, COVID is worse now than it ever has been. More transmissible variants, right? There are less federal protections. Insurance companies are not mandated to provide health care or coverage for COVID or whatever. Before, like, the federal government was like, you need to give people free COVID health care. They don't need to do that anymore. So now they can just charge you out the windman for that shit. Right? Vaccine efficacy. I know we're getting a new booster shot soon. And I'm going to get this new booster shot as soon as possible. But do you know anyone else that's going to get the new booster shot as soon as possible? Also, is it going to be, are you going to have to pay for it? Because if you have to pay for the booster shot, I can tell you this right now. No one's going to get that fucking shit. Right? Testing is basically stopped. You get COVID, who knows? Right? You're not allowed to call out of work if you have COVID. Why? Well, you're not allowed to call out of work if you have the flu. Get back to work. This is some crazy ass shit. Crazy ass fucking shit. We live in the Twilight Zone. In a written statement, the Department of Health and Human Services, which oversees Head Start, acknowledged that the current guidelines contradict those of the CDC, but said that the centers are not being checked for compliance on masking. Updating the official rules is a lengthy process, the statement said, which would take into consideration the CDC's evolving recommendations, the recent availability of vaccinations for children as young as 6 months, and over 2,700 public comments. So anyway, I can't. The struggle to mask young children became clear at a family orientation meeting this month at a Head Start center run by Accelero Learning in Perth Amboy, New Jersey. Silas, a 3-year-old with big round eyes and a buzz cut, has spent the pandemic at home, and he was pumped for the new adventure of pre-K. His surgical mask was no match for his enthusiasm, even though his grandmother, Olga Jimenez, reached over repeatedly to tug it over his mouth and nose. When he spied the play kitchen when he spied the plague. Okay, right. The pretend kitchen, I understand. The battle was all but lost. Silas bounded over, mask dangling. Soon a plastic chicken wing was in his mouth, and he was passing it back and forth to 3 other girls and boys. Now, again, that's a whole thing. We can have a conversation about how kids are hard to mask and it's difficult, but the idea that we're just going to give up? Like what? Oh, kids are a little rambunctious and they don't quite understand why anyone would want to do this. So let's give up. Missy Menace sighed and said that she would prefer Silas to go to school without a mask. Some parents have academic concerns, even if masking can be mastered. What does that mean? Masking can be mastered. Like, what does that mean? The art of wearing clothing. Does, like, putting on a belt require, like, years of training? Melissa Ruiz's 2 children, Milani, and Gabrielle, wore their face coverings like a second skin as they played with blocks and dolls. Both were enrolled in the center last year and are accustomed to the routine, which their mother supports. But Miss Ruiz said she wished Milani and Gabriel could see their full faces of their teachers during lessons. How about this? How about this? You take your mask off when you're outside and you're far away. Right? Maybe do more lessons outside. And when you're inside, well, you already know what she looks like or what he looks like or what they look like, so you're good to go. Have a couple outdoor lessons, go to the playground, play with some blocks outside, take your mask off, stand far away from each other, bring one of those like rolling whiteboards out there, get a little bit of FaceTime in, and then go back inside and put the mask on. I don't know why this is like... this whole thing with, like, again, the CDC is a pro-genocide, pro-eugenics organization, right? Democrats are just pretending like they've won. And 80% of kids have gotten infected with COVID-19, which has a 30% chance of providing long-term debilitating illness. Little crazy, but that's the US of A. We're a really smart country. Extremely intelligent citizens in this country that are really just again, really smart people. Is this a family-friendly version? Oh yeah, this is friendly to all the families out there. All the families out there. All right. So I got another article here. Banger after banger on today's show. All right. So, you ever wonder what's going on in this country when it comes to food? When it comes to food in this country? Well, again, let me just throw a couple statistics out there. 95% of Americans do not hit the daily recommended minimum of fiber. What is fiber? Fiber is debatably one of the most important things you can have in food. What has fiber in it? Fruits, vegetables, nuts, etc. 95% of Americans do not eat fruit unless they take the sugar out of it and throw the fiber away, like orange juice. Orange juice is not healthy for you. An orange, debatable. Orange juice, not healthy for you. The jury is in, it's not healthy. In fact, orange juice is soda that people convince themselves is not soda. That's all it is. It's soda, okay? Anyway. 95% of Americans, they don't eat vegetables. They don't eat nuts. They don't eat fruit. Because they're fucking stupid. But why are they fucking stupid? What created this stupidity? Well, an entire country that's been bought and paid for by sugar companies right? That are in bed with big pharmaceutical companies, that are in bed with health insurance companies to make Americans as sick as humanly possible, as much as possible. And so there's this article here that I found that goes into how sugar affects the immune system and the microbiome in your body. Did you know, I know some people don't know this, right? But did you know that there are billions, if not trillions, of living organisms inside of you that are not part of your body, that are not cells that carry your DNA with them, right? It's called bacteria. There are bacteria in your mouth. There are bacteria all over your body. But one of the heaviest concentrations of bacteria that live in your body is in your gut, in your intestines, right? Where you process food, right? And, get on all of the nutrition, right? So what happens when you don't feed the bacteria in your body? Well, they die, and bacteria also will eat or combat viruses. They will also combat bad bacteria, right? Et cetera, et cetera. So when the good bacteria in your body is not doing so well, and they're barely surviving, it allows bad bacteria, right? Bad being, it fucks you up, which, it eats your food, right? So what little food you are eating that has what little nutritional value you are getting, a lot of it will go to the bad bacteria, right? They will eat all of your nutrients, and that causes inflammation, right? So anyway, there's all, I'm going to read this article here, but I'll stop. I don't know why this is just like white. Oh, there it is. It's gone. Okay. Anyway, sugar disrupts microbiome and immune function, leading to metabolic disorders. Get this fucking white block away. What the fuck? Okay. Research shows that an estimated 70% of the immune system resides in the gut. Immune cells in the gut interact with the microbiome, the bacteria and fungi that live in the intestines, linking diet directly to the health of the immune system. You ever wonder why Americans are so sick all the fucking time? Now, again, I want you to understand this. 95% of Americans don't eat vegetables. What does that imply? What does that imply? What are they eating if not vegetables and fruits and nuts and other high fiber foods? What are they eating? Well, they're eating heavily processed, ultra processed, fiber removed, sugary, foods that have added sweeteners and added sugars out the fucking wazoo. And what do those sugars do? They fuck you up. They fuck you up. They fuck you up. Again, 95% of Americans, I'm very confident to say this, 95% of Americans are drug addicts. They are drug addicts. Now, let's look at something like alcohol. I covered on the show earlier that about 67% of Americans consume alcohol recreationally. How many people would you know or do you know that have alcohol use disorders, alcoholism or whatever? Do you know how seriously society treats people that are addicted to opiates or crack or meth? People freak the fuck out. Oh, you got a meth head in the family. Oh, I'm embarrassed, blah, blah, blah. Right? Yet, 95% of Americans are also meth heads when it comes to their drug of choice, which is sugar. Except for whatever reason, our society says, whatever. Whatever. That drug is okay. I'm down to be a drug addict. I'm down to destroy my body. I'm down to teach my kids to be drug addicts. Because that's what this shit is doing here in this American culture that we have here. Is parents, like if you give your child meth, people freak the fuck out, they take your kids away. If you give your child beer, people freak the fuck out, they take your kids away. And I'm not condoning giving your child meth or beer. But if you give your child ice cream every day, if you give your child sugary bread every day, if you give your child candy every day, people are like, oh, so cute. Oh, look, the little baby eating the candy. Oh. Isn't that weird? Isn't that a little strange? So, not only, right, that like, we can talk about sugar compared to meth, sugar compared to alcohol. We can have these conversations, right? One drug might be better in some instances, whatever. But the mass psychosis and mass delusion of people thinking that they're perfectly healthy or they're like responsible adults when they are just as addicted to just as dangerous drugs, yet they look down on other people. Like, think about this, right? Like, Donald Trump is going out there campaigning saying that drug dealers should be executed because people will die from consuming drugs. Yet, Donald Trump famously, do you remember that photo of Donald Trump getting fucking McDonald's to cater a White House event? That's fine. McDonald's, one of the biggest and largest drug distribution networks on planet Earth. They're my boys. Anyway, I should probably read the article instead of ranting and raving. Immune cells in the gut interact with I already read that. Paul Gill, a research fellow at the Department of Microbial Disease, Eastman Dental Institute, University College London in UK, who was not involved with the study, told Medical News Today that the study authors have outlined a new mechanism by which high doses of sugar impact the gut microbiota and immune system. Quote, a high sugar diet promoted the growth of bacteria species that outcompetes commensal good bacteria. A consequence of this gut dysbiosis, explained Gill, is a reduction in specific type of immune cell called a T helper 17 cell, Th17, which was found to protect mice from high-fat diet-induced obesity. Sugar versus filamentous bacteria. In the new study, the researchers found that sugar promoted bacteria that eliminated segmented filamentous bacteria. This is they're using a lot of fancy terms. I don't understand it all. All I know is sugar is bad for you. This type of bacteria is found in rodents, chickens, and fish. The lack of these bacteria led to a reduction in Th17 cells. Gill explained how sugar may be responsible for this. Quote, the authors show that high doses of sugar promote growth of species called blah, 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 that displaces and outcompetes filamentous bacteria in the gut. So basically, again, you eat a lot of sugar, and bad bacteria. Now, again, what is good and bad? Good is a symbiotic relationship. They're backing you up. They're eating your waste, what your body doesn't want, right? They're backing you up. They're helping out your immune system. They're chilling by the pool, they're having a good time. They're listening to music. They're dancing, right? The bad bacteria are like some motherfucker going into a grocery store with a machine gun and murdering 30 people. That's the bad bacteria. They go in, they kill all the good bacteria, and then they start killing your immune system and your cells. And again, this is what's causing inflammation. A lot of people get inflammation all over the place. Right? So, high doses of sugar cause damage to the gut lining, triggering inflammation that inhibits the growth of bacteria, particularly as these bacteria tend to grow in close proximity to the gut lining. In contrast, seems to be unaffected and grows in its place. Let's move on a little bit. The sugar experiments. The researchers initiated their studies with a five-week-old male mice. 2 weeks before the test, some mice were colonized with SFB, with successful colonization confirmed the day before the trial began. The mice were then fed a high-fat, high-sugar diet to mimic a Western-style diet. By the end of 4 weeks, the mice gained weight and developed glucose intolerance and insulin resistance. Once again, in this country, 93% of Americans are cardio-metabolically unhealthy, aka they have some form of metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome leads to pre-diabetes, which leads to diabetes, which leads to I can't afford my fucking $700 vial of insulin, which leads to death. 93% of Americans are on the road to being diabetics. So, good job, America. When mice that had not been colonized with SFB were fed the same diet, however, the animals gained weight and developed diabetes, demonstrating the importance of SFB to maintain in the maintenance of Th17 cells. Dr. Heber said the study adds to our present understanding of the impact of sugar on the microbiome and immune system. The quote, the big picture is to connect immune function to the microbiome. Most 70% of the body's immune cells are located near the gut and interact with the microbiota, he said. Will this research apply to humans? Dr. Hebo noted that the observed effects on Th17 cells may occur in humans, and that excess sugar and fat in sedentary individuals account for the global increase in overweight and obesity. About 70% of Americans are overweight, about 45% of Americans are obese, and 93% of Americans have a form of metabolic syndrome. We're fucked up. We're fucked up. And our government fucked us up. Corporations fucked us up on purpose. It's a science experiment. Big corporations, big pharma, the food industry, right? The health insurance industry, lobbyists, and politicians all performed a mass experiment on you. On you. You were experimented on without your knowledge and without your consent. You were involved in medical experiments that have destroyed your body. And there is nowhere you can go to call for help. There is no one you can call on for authorities to hold any of these people accountable. These people will die rich, happy, and fulfilled, while you will die with disease, debt that's passed on to your family, and regret. And most Americans don't even know that they're playing this game. Most Americans have no idea that they were enrolled in a mass experimentation. You know, think of the movie The Truman Show, right? With goddamn Jim Carrey, Jimbo, right? That's basically what you are. You are a pawn. You are a piece of their medical experimentation. They are watching you. They know how it's affecting America. We know how it's affecting America. The information is available. You can look it up. You can find it. That's why I share this stuff with people on my program. Except there's no big bad guy we can say and blame for all of this. It's the entire governmental system of capitalism that has designed this. Quote, the authors presented a small amount of human data in the paper to hint that the effect may be relevant to humans, Gill said. However, lots of further study is needed to prove this. There are limitations to mouse models, particularly because there are big difference in the gut microbiota and the immune system of mice and humans. The perils of hidden sugar. I want to get to this part. The high level of sugar that the researchers fed the mice may be closer to what people eat than one may think. The typical Western diet is full of sugar, only a small amount of which is consumed in granular form. Foods often contain hidden sugars, which may include dextrose, fructose, maltose, and sucrose. Often these are just molecules that combine other things, right? Like sucrose is just glucose and fructose, but in 50-50, right? So you can have fructose, and then you have sucrose, but half of sucrose is fructose, right? What the fuck does that mean? It means they get to lie and cover up shit on a food label, is what that means. This leads to a much higher consumption of sweeteners than many realize. Yogurts, which are not healthy for you. Coffee, again, black coffee, which I drink exclusively, is fine. But people will put cream and sugar and milk and sweeteners in coffee. You're a fucking moron. You're a fucking moron if you do that. I mean, again, once in a while, you know, that's the thing with consent. Consent is key. If you know what's going on and you're fully aware and it's like once in a while you want to get like that fucking whipped cream ass shit on your go for it, buddy. I'm not stopping you. But the people that don't even know the damage they're doing, right? Doing this kind of thing every day and getting addicted to it every day, that's a problem. And you have a drug addiction. And that drug is not caffeine. Well, I mean, it's also caffeine, but it's not just caffeine, it's sugar. It's sugar, which is a heavily addictive substance. It's a drug. Sugar is a drug. just as, if not more dangerous because of its insidious nature in our society, as alcohol. Breakfast cereal, which is not food, it's poison. Now I have a question. What is food? Food, the goal of food is to provide the body with key essential nutrients. Cereal, like Fruit Loops, that's not food, it's poison. Muffins is not food, it's poison. Now again, I'm not against consuming poison in fair amounts as long as you understand what the damage it does to your body. I drink alcohol every once in a while. I drink poison. Right? I'm aware of it. I know how it affects my body. But in America, most people eat poison and are drug addicts. 95% of Americans, is safe to say, are drug addicts. If they're not eating fiber-rich foods, what are they eating? Poison. So there's people wonder, oh, what am I going to eat for food? What's for dinner? A Hot Pocket is not dinner. That's not food. That's not nutrition. That is poison, right? If you drink every day, if you drink multiple times a day, every day, that's an addiction. That's a problem. If you're eating sugary foods every day, multiple times every day, that's an addiction. You have a problem. But most people don't know this. Most people really genuinely do not realize. Again, you can go to the grocery store and look at brands like Healthy Choice, Lean Pockets, whoa, Healthy Choice meals, and look at the nutrition label, 12 grams added sugar, what a healthy choice. 1 gram dietary fiber, what a healthy choice. Spaghetti sauce, sports drinks. I love this idea that spaghetti sauce, if you buy like jarred spaghetti sauce, like ragu or whatever, that's just it only tastes good because of added sugar. They just add sugar to it. That's it. That's it. It doesn't taste good because it's tomatoes and it's got like some fucking good ass garlic, maybe some herbs in there, right? That's it. No. It only tastes good because it has sugar. That's it. Quote, most Americans only eat 3 servings or less of fruits and vegetables, about 10 grams of fiber, and too many snack foods rich in sugar, fat, and salt. Again, the daily recommended minimum is 25 grams of fiber. All of the food in the absence of physical activity leads to overweight and obesity in 2/3 of Americans and affects immune function, as we saw in the pandemic where obesity was a risk factor for severe disease. So anyway, you can read the rest of this if you'd like. But again, this is something to me, like understanding just how fucked up Americans are, right? It really puts everything else into perspective, right? Because again, not only is your immune system is going to suffer, you're going to get more likely to become sick, especially when a pandemic's going on, right? Not only that, but again, I used to be someone that ate like shit all day, every day. I used to weigh 270 pounds, right? I used to eat pizza, ice cream, whatever. You know, my mom raised me on eating fast food like 5 times a week, 4 times a week. Right? So that's how I was raised. And a lot of people are raised in similar environments. Maybe not to the extreme that I was raised in. I had to deal with a single mother who didn't really care about me, right? So, but a lot of people are raised in environments that are less obviously bad, right? Again, 95%. That is nearly everyone in the country. That is nearly every single person in the country. Can you think of any poll that you have ever seen, any study that you have ever seen, where it has reached high 90s? 95%. Think of any other. Can 95% of Americans agree on anything? No. Nothing. Now again, when 95% of Americans are drug addicts, that are in the middle of a bender that's been going on for 30 years. Now, again, if I were to drink alcohol every day, all day, for 30 years, right? It's going to seep into and become a core, fundamental part of my personality. I will change as a result. Alcoholics typically, they get more angry over time. They get sick over time, right? When they get sick, their head doesn't work correctly. They're not thinking straight. So imagine that, but it's 95% of people in this country. When you are eating like garbage, you develop chronic disease. But again, I also want to talk about brain fog a little bit here. Brain fucking fog? What is brain fog? It's really hard to define. Sometimes I experience brain fog. I wake up before my cup of coffee. I'd consider that brain fog. Do I have an addiction to caffeine at this moment in time? Yes, I am addicted to caffeine. And I'm trying to work on reducing it over time, but still, it's something I'm working on. Right? There are so many people that will buy the healthy choice frozen meals and think, oh, okay, that's good. There's so many people that buy ingredients for home-cooked meals, but they use processed sauces. If you're making a home-cooked meal and you fucking throw like 15 fucking helping servings of barbecue sauce on it, you fucked it all up. Now, is it better than just eating the barbecue sauce? Absolutely. But again, think about how being chronically ill all the time, having your body constantly with bouts of inflammation all the time, every day, think about how that affects your mental health. Why are Americans so stupid, and why are Americans so angry all the time? Why do Americans kill each other all the time? Why do Americans say and do the dumbest things possible? Because 95% of Americans are drug addicts and they're not thinking clearly. Just think about it. Just again, when you, I know, I can tell you this from my personal experience, and anyone I've ever talked to who has done extreme dietary overhauls in their life will tell you that you feel better when you quit processed food. Now, again, once in a while, it's all good. Like any drug, right? The poison factor is in the dose, right? If you're having fast food once a month, you know what? Who cares, right? But it's people being convinced that this stuff is food. What is food? Things that fuel the body with nutrients, right? Hot Pockets are not food. Fruit Loops are not food. These like Nutri-Grain bars, they're not food. Ragu spaghetti sauce is not food. It is poison, right? And so when you're eating poison all day, every day, it affects you. And this is why America is such a stupid fucking country with stupid fucking people. We're all drug addicts. No one understands it, and it destroys our bodies, and it leads to a lot of fucked up shit. Now, again, I'm ranting and raving here, right? We are at a point where there are generations of people that have no idea how to cook. Right? Like, imagine you're born in 1930. There's no such thing as fast food. There's no such thing as processed food. Oh, you're going to put a Hot Pocket in the microwave? Fuck. No, you're not. It's not a thing. It doesn't exist. So in order to feed yourself, in order to survive, it's 1940 now, right? 1943, right? Your parents have to teach you how to cook. Right? Now imagine you have a kid, right? It's 1955, right? You have a child. Right? Oh, now McDonald's is starting to become a thing. The 1960s happened. Processed food. We got microwaves. We got fast food. We got drive-thrus. Right? You're born in 1955. Now it's 1975. It's 1980. Right? Now you're having a kid. And now fast food, processed food, and drive-thrus are just a part of American life. So you have a kid. And maybe you only cook 4 times a week. and the rest of the time you take off, and maybe you get that fast food or that delivery, right? And, you know, you don't want to spend the time to cook. You want to spend time with your family, and that's noble and that's great, okay? Now, you have a kid. It's 1985. You have a kid, right? Then that kid grows up in the 90s, in the aughts. Fast food nation. Processed food everywhere. Grocery stores. Like, have you seen the grocery store? Like, 1/3 of a grocery store is poison. At least 1/3 of grocery stores now are poison. The frozen food sections take up giant amounts of space. Right? Maybe you only cook once a week. It's Sunday night. Gather the family around the table. Mama's gonna cook a home-cooked meal. Right? But now, what is the result of that? Your kids, let's say you have a kid in 1985, whatever, and they're not going to learn how to cook. Maybe you try to teach them, but you just, cooking through experience is really the only way how to learn. If you're only cooking for your family once or twice a week, they're not going to learn how to cook. And so now, what we have, right? Now imagine that kid born in 1985. Now it's 2015. It's 2020. And now these people are having kids. And their parents never taught them how to cook. So now, they have kids. And now mama's not cooking a home-cooked meal. The only thing mama's doing is throwing some shit in the microwave. Maybe throw some shit in a pot and stir it. And then, there you go. You got a meal. You got food, quote unquote. Right? Think about this, right? Like, over the generations, Americans are cooking and learning how to cook less and less and less, which means they are more and more and more reliant on fast food, processed food, frozen food. And what does that do? It destroys your fucking body. So what initially started out as like a once in a while luxury, let's go to the Mickey D's and get some burgers, let's have a good time, it's once in a while, is now a daily part of American life. And then you wonder why 95% of Americans don't know how to feed themselves. You wonder why 93% of Americans are chronically ill and have pre-diabetes. So anyway, there's a little history lesson for you. But go read this article. Read some more stuff like it. I mean, it's, again, my opinion, this is the most important subject that anyone could ever possibly talk about is food. Because it affects everything else. What you put in your body affects everything else. And the same way that when we banned leaded gasoline, the average IQ of people being born after leaded gasoline was banned, the average IQ started to increase. Which presumes that leaded gasoline in the air and people breathing it in, if they're walking on the sidewalk, literally destroyed their brains. You look at Flint, Michigan, right, that had a water crisis for a significant amount of time, right? Lead in the water. But before people really understood just how, there can be lead in the water and the water doesn't look brown, right? It happens over time. Highly concentrated amounts of lead will change the color of water. But you look, there are actual statistics that will show you that developmental disabilities skyrocketed in Flint, Michigan during and before the widely publicized water crisis. Why? They were consuming lead and it fucked their brains up. When you are consuming poison as a child, it fucks your brain up. My Max dog is snoring. So anyway, I just want to say this. The most important radical act you could possibly engage in is eating a healthy diet. That is the most radical, the most extreme, the most anti-capitalist thing you could possibly do is to eat a healthy diet, as healthy as possible, and to provide as healthy as possible things for your neighbors, for your friends, for your family. That is the most radical, most extreme act you could possibly do in this country. So anyway, it was a little longer than I expected, but, you know, it's been a while since I had a good food rant, you know. So feel free to share that with people. Oh. Anyway, y'all were talking about canned soups earlier. Canned soups have high sugar content. You know, like the Progresso shit or whatever it is. Right? High sugar content. Sodium, some people are more susceptible to being sensitive to sodium. Now, I just want to say, I take medication that makes it so that I pee more, which means that like I have a sodium deficiency, like standardized, right? And you know, as long as I take this medication, right? So I'm in a different position than most people in this. But also, you know, a good way, if something has high sodium content, you know, a good way to reduce the negative impact of that sodium, water. Just drink a lot of water. If you are eating canned soup or tinned soup, as they say over there, I recommend pouring that shit in a pot or a bowl and just filling it 1-to-1 with extra water. Just water. Not whatever fucking stupid, just water. Just throw some extra water in there, right? And trust me, the sodium is going to hit a lot less. So, I'm just throwing that out there. Throw some extra water in. Now, again, it's going to dilute the flavor a little bit. So, get some spices. I recommend garlic. I recommend crushed red pepper. Right? You know, and that'll undo any of the flavor loss by an order of magnitude. So.
And then they have cans of soup. Soup. And they throw the cans of soup.
So. Anyway, man. Also, again, cooking with the bitch, by the way. Cooking with the bitch in 30 minutes. Open this fucking shit up in another tab. And get ready. But, yeah, I think a lot about food. Again, that's why I have a cooking show, is because I want to share with people, you know, just, yeah, cook for yourself. You know, it seems daunting at first, but like, again, you get better over time. You're going to make mistakes, but mistakes are lessons learned. When you make a mistake, you know what to avoid next time. I have unlimited energy. I disagree. I just try to channel what little energy I have in as productive as possible ways. The rest of the day, I'm laying on the floor. My arms are like this, you know. I pass out. Cans of beans every now and then. Make that several times a week, if not every day. Motherfucker's like, you have a cooking show? Motherfucker, we got 26 episodes of that shit. Check it out. Yeah. I personally think, you know, and again, it's the insidiousness that really is insane to me. But like, to me, it is shocking that other people that do like news shows don't talk about food as much as I do. Like, I don't know. I personally, because again, like especially for politics, right? Like, think about politics. What are politics? For most people, politics are a set of beliefs that you hold in the abstract as like a branding exercise. That's most people when they think about politics. It's, oh, what do I think about this stupid issue that doesn't affect me at all? Right? That's my opinion, every time you eat is a political act. Everything you do is a political act. Right? And also, politics is not government. Now, government engages in politics, but politics is not exclusive to government. Right? So, like, to me, when I see like news shows or podcasts or whatever, people that do similar things that I do, and all they talk about is the government did this, the government did that, the government, call your senator. Now that's all important, but that's not what politics is exclusively. My opinion is that teaching people about how they can engage in radical political acts on a daily basis, such as eating healthy food, like, you don't need to rely or wait on the government to pass a law that's going to happen in like 4 years from now to see results. You can start learning about food and how it affects you and what you're eating right now. Like, you don't have to wait for anyone else to pass them something and sign something. You can do it right now. Like, every time you eat fast food, that is a political act that aids corporations at the expense of you and your family. Now, again, once in a while, I don't care. But like, most people just think of politics as an abstract branding exercise, which to me, I think that's shooting yourself in the foot from the jump. But anyway. "14th Amendment, Section 3. New Mexico official who participated in January 6th riot," again, not a riot, an insurrection. I don't know why the Washington Post is so hell-bent on both sidesing this thing. Removed from office. A New Mexico judge ruled Tuesday that Coy Griffin, a county commissioner and co-founder of Cowboys for Trump, is disqualified to continue serving in office because of his role in the January 6, 2021 insurrection against the U.S. Capitol in Washington. Plaintiffs in the case argued that Griffin's presence among the rioters, insurrectionists, that day disqualified him from serving under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which prohibits anyone from holding federal or state office who took an oath to support the Constitution and then, quote, engaged in an insurrection or rebellion or gave, quote, aid or comfort. Now, the aid or comfort, that is a really important line. Josh Hawley gave both aid and comfort to insurrectionists. Ted Cruz gave both aid and comfort to insurrectionists. Donald fucking Trump, of course, gave aid and comfort again to insurrectionists. And finally, nearly 2 years later, somebody in this country had the balls to read the Constitution and actually enforce it against someone. This is when I tell you the Constitution is fake. It doesn't exist. It's made up. The only thing that matters is enforcement. If there is no enforcement, then the Constitution is a list of suggestions. It's not like the laws of physics, right? But finally, the Constitution is being acknowledged. The decision marks the first time since 1869 that a court has disqualified a public official under the provision, and the first time that any court has ruled that the events of January 6th were an insurrection. This is an extremely important precedent. Like, I need you to really understand how important this precedent is. It is now on the books that January 6th was an insurrection against the United States of America. And it is now on the books that somebody has been removed from office because they engaged in an insurrection against the United States of America. That is a fucking huge deal. Now, again, this is just one random fuckface. We gotta see, are they going to apply this law to Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley? According to Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, which represented New Mexico residents in the case, District Court Judge Francis Matthew agreed that Griffin's actions, though nonviolent, met the definition of disqualifying behavior. In March, Griffin, an Otero County commissioner, was found guilty of a misdemeanor charge of illegally entering or remaining on restricted grounds by a federal judge. Griffin is one of the founders of the group called Cowboys for Trump, and a fervent supporter of the former president. Griffin had claimed he was a victim of political persecution, although his judge in March, U.S. District Judge Trevor N. McFadden, was appointed by Trump in 2017. Among the evidence used to convict Griffin at the trial was video recorded by a videographer Griffin brought with him to Washington. Again, I really need you to understand just how delusional these people were. They live streamed themselves and got evidence of themselves breaking extremely, like, you don't want to break these laws. Why did they do that? Why would anyone take selfies as they're desecrating the Capitol and attempting to overthrow the country and install a dictator? Because they wanted the credit in the post-America world. They wanted to see Trump as king, and when Trump was king, they wanted to show their selfies to people. Look, I helped install Trump as king. That's why they filmed themselves committing these crimes. That video showed Griffin climbing over a stone wall that marked the Capitol security perimeter and spending more than an hour on the front railing of the inaugural stage with a bullhorn leading the crowd below in prayer. Griffin crossed over 3 walls, McFadden wrote in March. All of this would suggest to a normal person that perhaps you should not be entering the area. In 2018, Griffin was elected county commissioner with 65% of the vote, easily defeating a Democratic challenger. Matthew, the judge in New Mexico, held a 2-day bench trial on the case last month and gave both sides additional time to submit written closing arguments. Non-violent members of the mob, including Griffin, camouflaged violent members of the mob, contributed to law enforcement being overwhelmed by a, quote, sea of potential threats. Attorneys for the plaintiffs wrote in a closing statement, Griffin, quote, Griffin did more than just join the mob. He incited, encouraged, and helped normalize the mob's violence on January 6th. If the cowboy for Trump did this, what about Trump? What about Mo Brooks? What about all these other fucking scumbags that gave speeches that day? What about the people that objected to the election results? Which is the fundamental core tenet of these conspiracy theories, that the election was blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't that be giving aid and comfort to those engaging in an insurrection? It's normalizing and mainstreaming their conspiracy theories. If the entirety of the Republican Party said, no, Trump is wrong, and all of the Republican senators and all of the Republican House members were like, okay, let's just certify the election results, that'd be a different story. But you have most Republicans in the House and the Senate who objected to the election results. They have given aid and comfort to people engaging in an insurrection and therefore are disqualified from office. Griffin argued in a writing closing statement that those seeking to remove him from public office, quote, missed their mark and failed to prove the assault on the U.S. Capitol on Jan 6 was an insurrection, according to the Albuquerque Journal. Well, apparently they're incorrect. So this is a big, big deal. Now, again, this is some random fuckface. So keep that in mind. But under this exact ruling, I would say under this exact ruling, the exact logic laid out in this ruling, 2/3 of elected Republicans to the U.S. Congress should immediately be forced to leave office. Again, most Republicans in the House objected to the election results. A very good chunk of Republicans in the Senate objected to the election results. Even after the insurrection attempt, I need you to understand, motherfuckers went to the Capitol building. Some of them got shot and killed. Some of them died. They beat the fuck out of cops. They shat in offices. They destroyed chambers of Congress. And after that, the Republicans still voted in favor of their conspiracy theories. Now, I would go a step further, and I know that this is getting a little more out there, right? This is getting a little more like I am just saying what everything I've said up until this point is legally factual. Feel free to debate me. You would lose. But at this point, this is my own personal opinion. Cori Bush, the week after January 6th, 2021, introduced a resolution to invoke Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Nancy Pelosi and other House and Senate Democratic leadership were not on board. Now, answer me this. Why would the leader of the Democratic Party in the House and the Senate be against an easy way to get rid of all of their opposition? I would go as far as to say Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Democratic leadership, Steny Hoyer, etc. I would say that they also gave aid and comfort to those engaging in an insurrection by not holding them accountable. But that's my own opinion. That's going to be harder to prove in a court of law. But everything else I said has already been proved in a court of law, as I just laid out. So under this, Donald Trump is immediately disqualified from running for 2024. And 2/3 of the Republican Party in Congress should also immediately be removed from office. So, there you go. Big news. But is that going to happen? This is the Letter Hack stream today. I'm wearing the Letter Hack shirt. I'm drinking out of the Letter Hack mug. It's the goddamn Letter Hack stream extravaganza. This motherfuckers got their claws deep in the Above It All universe. Now that's giving aid and comfort to an insurrection. Okay? There's an insurrection of Above It All. Letter Hack is trying to take over the fucking show. Anyway, that's the show for today. Once again, cooking with the bitch in 14 minutes. So, we'll just chill here. Q-cock. Questions, comments, or concerns. Q-cock. If anyone has any, hit me up. I will be doing a Twitch stream today. I didn't do one yesterday because I was having an experience and did a lot of other stuff. So follow me on Twitch. I will be streaming on Twitch today. So check that out. It's going to be cool. I don't quite know what I'm going to play yet, but I'm thinking of playing a new WOD. So it could be fun. But, yeah, that's the show. Hopefully today's show was informative. When and how did you start cooking? Well, I had been through many, issues, once I became an adult and I was unsatisfied with how unhealthy I was, I tried everything, right? And it's, and I couldn't cook. My mom had never taught me. I had no skill in cooking at all, right? So I was limited to just buying sandwiches from the deli or whatever. I was limited to cans of ready-made meals and that stuff. But, you know, that didn't really do the trick. So I would say I really started heavily attempting to learn how to cook in early 2020, late 2019. Was when I started learning, like sitting down and cooking every day and experimenting and figuring out how all of that works. So for about, I don't know, 3 years? Ish. About 3 years. How to get motivation? Well, the motivation that I had was I had no money, right? So I couldn't buy food. Where is Max? Max is chilling. Max! Maxie! He might be outside. Yep, he's outside. I hear him. Anyway, Max! Maxie, you smell like dog. Max, you smell like dog. Give me that. That's a tennis ball. I want it. Look at this dog. Give me the tennis ball. All right, he's not handing it over. But I got a thick cue cock here. This shows the first act of selective cultural contamination where we try to apply Posada's theory. Okay. But yeah, so I basically had no money and just resorted to buying the cheapest raw ingredients and making the best out of them. Yeah, the limit, like the way you force yourself is to only buy raw ingredients. Like, don't buy frozen food. Like, to be honest, just don't buy any frozen food at all. Do I grow a garden? That's a project that I'm working on, but I have no results or anything that I'm willing to share. I don't know if these are still buyable, but the Letter Hack has a store. I think you can still buy them. Any favorite YouTube shows? I mean, not really, to be honest. I don't really watch YouTube anymore. I'm like working on like 5 different like full-time projects all at the same time, so I don't really watch anything at all. Shirts are gonzo, all done. Fuck. Well, you missed your chance. Do you rice? I have riced in the past. So does that mean I can resell this shirt? Like, not only, right? Like, this is like, think about this. Not only is this, you can't buy this anymore, but also I've worn the shirt, right? Like, I don't know, man. Like, is there like fetish points? You know, this is touching my raw skin, you know? Think about that. I sweat in this shirt. You know? And hey, I'm just saying it. I'm not wearing a bra. So, hey, you know, that's a bonus feature. Breaking news, I'm going to drink more coffee. Oh, hell yeah. Do I eat rice? Not really, but I am getting into rice. So, harvesting melons, watermelon. I just processed peppers yesterday. I love peppers. Peppers. Reminder, peppers are fruits. Fun fact, I have never worn a bra in my life. So, It's a waste of my money. I don't know. Who cares? Story about Kua Griffin. I just did, Mila. You missed it. You goddamn missed it. I mean, really, when you think about it, Mila is giving aid and comfort to an insurrection by missing the fucking show. Arsenic poisoning from brown rice. I gotta look into this. I don't wear a bra in public. I don't think my tits are big enough to, like, you know, cause any public outcry. But even if there were, fuck that shit. I don't mind. Yeah, I don't really, I don't think calories are a thing. And I'm willing to talk about this maybe more tomorrow. But calorie diets designed around acknowledging calories, I think that's a failed strategy from the start. I think macronutrients, vitamins, micronutrients, food quality is all infinitely more important than calories. I think calories provide negative information. Calories are a brain poisoning thing. And then it's also like, you will never actually know how many calories you're eating because food labels will misinterpret and lie about calories all the time. So if a food label says it has 200 calories in it per serving, right? They can round down, right? So like, let's say each serving is actually, 207 calories per serving or whatever. But they round it down to 200, but the container has 5 servings, which means, not only you're just, it's impossible to calculate and it's irrelevant. That's my opinion. The only relevant things about food are macronutrients, vitamins, micronutrients. Please do a story on Jackson Nichols' appearance on Tucker Carlson. What? You gotta send me links. Do I like coconut? Not really. Yeah, calorie deficits are fake information. The calories in, calories out is debunked pseudoscience. I consider calories to be similar to astrology. Calories to me are astrology, and like calorie-based dietary advice are horoscopes. Emphasis on whore. I have seen the Maryland water crisis. All right, y'all. I should say that I have 2 of these Michael Brooks shirts. Because I bought one, and then Mila bought one for me that she didn't know that I had bought one for myself. So I have 2 of them. So I'm willing to sweat and flop my titties around in a rare limited edition shirt and sell it. But I need to get some good money for it because I like having 2. So anyway, y'all, that's the show. That's Above It All. Cooking with the Bitch is coming up. And so everyone get in there. I'll check you out in the live premiere chat. And thank you for watching. And take care of yourself. And have a great day.
And then they have cans of soup. Soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup from my family. They're so innocent. This is soup from my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup for my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people.
We are going to restore honor to our government. In my administration, I'm going to enforce all laws concerning the protection of classified information. No one will be above the law.
What rules, you sons of bitches?
Dub is a shit fuck, you know, cringe tour, etc., etc.
I eat extra sharp